into the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
This was such a nice song, but oh my God, does it hurt.
Yeah, it's a little deep.
Yeah, a little deep, and the sun is slightly warm.
Yeah.
Hello, Blindspot fans, and welcome to another episode of the AFTERBUZZ TV Blindspot After Show. Today we are covering Episode 8, Persecute Envoys, which anagrams to Suspect Everyone.
Basically.
Because, you know, that's not terrifying at all. And with me I have the lovely Stephanie Garrett.
Hey guys, how are ya? I'm at Stephanie G3360 on Twitter and Instagram, and Stephanie Garrett 3360 on YouTube.
And I'm Katie Cullen. You can find me on Twitter at Kiaxet. That's Kiaxet. I am also checking our hashtag, which is ABTV Blindspot. And we have the live chat up on the monitor. So if you're in the live chat or in the hashtag, have something you'd like to talk about, put it up, let us know, and you may well get a shout out.
Yeah.
So what did you think of this episode?
I actually like this episode. We got a lot more, like you said, character development here, and a little more backstory on a few of the characters, which I liked.
We did. I still feel like Reed is a bit of a backstory desert.
Yeah.
In that we know nothing about the man, and that is really starting to bother me.
Yeah, but I think they're going to dive into it at some point. But yeah, we're mostly in Zapatas.
And I hope we do get something on him because he's fun and they're bantering, and all of what we know about him is that he trusts Kurt and doesn't trust the new Kurt who's not acting right around Jane.
Right.
But we don't really know anything about his past. And Zapata, meanwhile, is, we need someone to relate to them. Zapata, you were a cop. Zapata, you lost a partner. Zapata, you, what was it, grew up in the foster system or something
like that, yeah.
She's basically related to our past 3 or 4 suspects, and it's like, okay, you have developed the heck out of her, and I cannot help but feel it's just the convenient, empathetic route for the episode. Just come on. Come on.
Give us a little more.
I feel like the most natural development she's had was the gambling backstory.
Yeah, the gambling, yeah. And now, well, of course, she's going to be dealing with Tom, our favorite vampire. I mean, person.
That man.
Such a vampire.
That's a really good...
Isn't he a
I just keep thinking Republican.
Yeah, that too.
And I know there's going to be people that are like, how dare you? And I'm like, I'm sorry. Doesn't he look like a senator? Doesn't he look like someone who would just be like, I have your best interests at heart.
Right.
Let's defund your healthcare provider.
Right.
Like, he seems like that kind of guy.
Absolutely.
That's just what he looks like.
Yeah,
He's
you're a
the
single
face
mother with 4
evil.
kids. Yeah, you're a single mother with 4 kids. Let's kick you out of your apartment and tear down your apartment and start a development. That kind of thing. Yeah.
So you can definitely tell our opinions on this panel and what exactly we think about certain characters and certain political situations, which I was really intrigued by this. Let's actually talk about Daylight.
Yes.
Because we have had this coming for a while.
Right.
And this is something, both of our stories here have really tied into real world issues.
Yeah.
And they're good at doing this, but this one hit really close to home in some ways. Because we got the origins of Daylight. We got a flashback to 5 years ago, and we have Tom and Mayfair and Sophia Varma, the deputy White House political director, called into a meeting with the chief of staff, who essentially told them the NSA has been collecting all of this information, phone calls, etc.
Right.
It's all illegal, but use it to find stuff out and to put people behind bars and, all that fun stuff, which super incredible, 1,000% illegal. And Mayfair's not up for it.
No.
She doesn't like the idea. It's not an official program. It hasn't been signed into law. None of that fun stuff.
Right.
And so she is very much against it. And Tom lays down, and I had to write this down, nobody leaves until all three of us are on board. Because she couldn't have doubts and then go. Because if one person knew about it who wasn't in on the program, they wouldn't do it.
Right.
Because they couldn't run that risk. So that's some interesting backstory that we have for Mayfair.
Right. And I like that she's very by the book.
Yes.
She seems so by the book, and she is really professional, and she loves her job. Now, I don't know if she always makes the right decisions when it comes to certain things, but that's a testament to her character, I think.
Well, and when she's talking to Kurt, she tells him that Guerrero was her front. Basically, any time that information came up where it was against a drug dealer or a gang or whatever, she'd say that Guerrero fed her that information, and that was officially what it was on paper, so they could put everything through, so they could make the arrests, etc., even though she was using the information from Daylight.
Right.
And Kurt, of course, is having so much trouble trusting her after this.
Yeah.
Kurt founded on trust issues Weller.
He has trust issues with everyone.
He does.
Bless his soul.
He does not forgive easily. He does not do well with broken trust. He obviously has a massive gaping mental wound where that is centered.
Yeah.
A lot of that having to do with Taylor disappearing, I'm sure, and then the suspicion cast on his dad. But he's not okay with this.
Yeah, and I thought he was a bit insubordinate when talking to Mayfair. I mean, when they were having their exchange, I thought, well, who's the boss here? Is it her or is it him? You know?
It is still her, but yeah, the way he was acting for some of it was just, okay.
Yeah.
You need to cool your jets, bro. You're not handling this well.
Exactly.
And I know we're seeing him at a time of great emotional turmoil, and he's been in great emotional turmoil. I choose the best words, I swear. Since like episode 2. But I'm wondering how he ever got to be the head of a team if he keeps flying off the handle.
That's a good point. Yeah, I wonder who made that decision? Was it Mayfair?
I feel like, again, all we're seeing is him just dealing with stuff that is so far outside of his comfort zone it's not even visible anymore.
Yeah.
And I would like to maybe see some flashbacks of him so we could see what he was like before a woman with his name tattooed on her back showed up in his life.
Right, that's true. My guess is he's always had a little of that anyway, considering his history with his dad and everything, and Taylor and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder all that is where it's all sort of. I think it's rushing to the surface because of Jane, actually.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It all kind of, it's like a tsunami.
Oh, yeah. I feel like all we've seen is the very exacerbated version.
Yeah, exactly.
And I kind of want to see what the default state was, because for the viewer, that is the default state.
Yeah.
So everyone's telling us, oh, he was like this, oh, he is like this, and you've changed him. We're like, we never got to see that.
We never saw
so
that.
If you want to show us some of that so we have a basis of comparison, that would be glorious.
Yeah. Well,
Take notes, writers. This is what we want.
Right. Yeah, I hope they're listening. So.
Of course, everyone watches our show.
Of course they do. Hi, live
Can't even
chatters.
finish that sentence. I do love that they brought up the letter to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. because this is a thing that exists. I don't know if you guys out there have seen it, but it's definitely worth looking up. And it is a letter where the FBI essentially threatened Dr. King while he was protesting. So, again, they were talking about it as a reminder not to abuse your power. And that's, again, guys, this is a real thing. Google it. Read the letter. It's kind of terrifying.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of sad.
Yeah. Extremely.
So
over the course of these flashbacks, we see Daylight just kind of fall apart. Sophie is really super into it. She really likes having this information at hand. She definitely uses it. And we get the mention of Planned Parenthood attempting to be defunded. And she got blackmailed. I am losing words tonight. It is super fun.
Don't ask me.
She blackmailed one of the congressmen to vote against the defunding because he was paying for an intern's abortion and, implications that he got her pregnant, etc.
Right.
And so, for one, it's that hot button topic of Planned Parenthood, which even if this was something they were talking about in 2010, is still still a hot button topic today.
Oh, yeah, it's in the news.
Especially when it's getting defunded in places like Texas that severely need it.
Uh-huh.
So it's really interesting to see the show take these issues and go, oh yeah, you hear about it in the news. Oh yeah, you get all this stuff. Well, this is how it factors into our not so fictional world.
Right.
The series is very much picking up a mirror and saying, look at yourself.
Pretty much.
Take a good hard look.
And their connection with Daylight to the NSA.
Yeah.
And all, that's been in the news for the last couple of years, just that NSA thing about being spied on and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, because we then have Douglas Winter blowing the whistle on the NSA in the flashbacks, and that's very obviously meant to be Edward Snowden.
Ah, yeah.
A fictional Edward Snowden blowing the whistle on a fictional program that the NSA may or may not have done.
Right.
So they had to go with a different... I don't know if they could use Edward Snowden's name.
Probably. Well, I mean, what's he going to do? Come over here and sue somebody?
I don't know. I'm honestly wondering not...
No,
I'm trying to follow this train of thought, and I'm not finding the right words for it. If it wouldn't be Edward having issues with it, if it would be someone else up the line.
It could be, yeah. Somebody says, well, you can't do that. Yeah, that's true. I don't think he would care.
Yeah, Douglas Winter is very obviously the Edward Snowden parallel in this particular story.
Yeah.
We have infighting between the three because, of course, we do, because Tom is part of this, and Tom.
Right.
And we cut forward to Sophia feeling terrible because she essentially destroyed a man's life with this, released the information that he used to have an addiction problem, he fell off the wagon, got a DUI, his wife and kids left, she basically completely screwed a man's life over, and she wants to flee the country, wants to go to Hong Kong, and wants to take Mayfair with her, and we get the "Do you love me?" line, and it's one of those, wait a minute, they're living together, they're a couple.
They're a couple.
Thanks. We got representation in the show.
Finally.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
A little backstory on Mayfair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, hello. It was like, no, this is a thing.
This is it.
And Mayfair doesn't want to, because if everything that Daylight did comes to light, all of the convictions that she's had are overturned and all of the people she put away got released. And, those are some very dangerous people.
Right.
So they can't afford to do that. So Sophia goes off and commits suicide because she cannot handle it. She cannot deal with what she's done. She cannot handle what she's been a part of. Just any of that. And that's extremely rough to watch.
Right. That was very sad because poor Mayfair was just distraught.
But now we know who the person who died is, that, 3 people knew about this and one of them is dead. Well, yeah, she is.
Yeah. Well, Weller knows now, so he
does.
Yeah, he's like the next third person.
And we get this fun conversation with him and Mayfair at the end saying, well, what happens if I turn you in? Well, what happens if this? What happens if the people who are behind Jane's tattoos come after you? Because it is a corruption case and your file was tattooed on her body, and we've seen how all these other cases have turned out. What if they come after you?
Yeah, that's true. And he's right. I think something is going to turn up on her, but we'll see.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, because that's just too coincidental.
Well, and she did the whole I'll improvise thing.
Yeah.
That's turned out super well for everyone in the past, huh?
Yeah. Well, should we talk about the procedural stuff with the police and...
I think we should talk about the procedural stuff with the police.
Yeah. Oh, the NYPD.
Man. And again, we're taking stuff directly from the news, where they even quoted, we don't want another Ferguson or Baltimore. Because this started off with 2 cops dead.
Yeah.
Actually, I have to put this up because this is in my notes, and this is on the character development side of things.
Okay.
But we get a scene of Zapata sparring with Jane, and all in caps, I have Bechdel test passed.
I wrote that down too. I said something to the effect they had a good sparring match. Good stuff. I liked it.
Well, and I'm sure the show passed the Bechdel test before then, but for those of you who may not know, the Bechdel test is a very bare bones test, and it's, do you have 2 characters who are women who have a conversation that's not about a man? It is the bare minimum of writing female characters. It is like, if you can't even pass this, buddy, we got problems.
Right.
The Avengers does not pass the Bechdel test. It's an issue.
Yeah.
But this show's just like, sure, let's do it. Let's have them spar. Let's have them go out and drink. Let's have a good time. Let's have a good time.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love that. And I keep walking away from the procedural part of this episode. So let's do that.
Yeah.
Hashtag Butcher the Butchers.
Ooh, Butcher the Butchers.
Yeah, that very, very clever.
Very clever. And of course, Jane has a tattoo of that.
Yeah, we essentially have two cops who have been killed with Butcher the Butcher painted above them. Not sure if in paint or their own blood, but either way, super macabre.
Yeah.
And it turns out that it looks like it ties back to Lamont Green, who was an unarmed black teenager who was shot and killed by a cop earlier. And this is very Black Lives Matter territory.
Yeah. What's in the news now? Consistently.
And again, I obviously don't have the experience to speak for this.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see this show, again, reflect what's in the news and make you think about things that have happened and saying, yeah, no, this is still a problem.
Yeah.
And that evidently the cop that did it was not indicted, but got fired after there were, protests in the street because, surprise, surprise, people don't like it when cops kill an innocent person.
Right. I mean, especially, considering they were supposedly dirty cops. With all kinds of shady dealings and all sorts of things, blackmailings and things like that.
The 65th precinct is what this was. Has a long line of incidents, quote unquote, and they are known as the Brooklyn Butchers. And I have to wonder if the 65th precinct is entirely fictional, if this is based on something. I feel like this would have to be fictional, this particular precinct number. Because otherwise, that is a lot of lawsuits waiting to happen.
Oh, yeah, a lot of pissed off cops in New York, and we don't want that.
Or people trying to emulate what they've seen on the show.
Exactly.
Which is also not really something we advise, you guys. Just don't do the thing.
Don't go there.
That's not a good idea.
Yeah.
And so, because they have these incidents, and because it is a precinct with a reputation, they bring in the FBI to solve the case. Which, no one wants that. They want to take care of their own. But if they already have kind of a touchy relationship with their community, they don't want to screw it up even more.
Yeah, they don't want to police themselves.
So the FBI are on the case, and it turns out there's a body camera program that's essentially in beta for the precinct, but is about to go national. And I'm sitting here going, yes! Yes!
Yeah.
Someone has done the thing, even if they're fictional, just because that lends support to the real life push for body cams on cops.
Right.
At least in some way. Unfortunately, it is not used well in this episode.
No.
You spend the entire episode going, yes, no, yes, no.
Right. Yeah, that's a big controversy there with police officers and the body cams. Yeah.
Extremely. I mean, honestly, I think we could use them. I think that would be good. And in the show, they said, when we started using them, we haven't had one brutality lawsuit since.
That's true.
So, if they work. But as it turns out, someone on the force is using body cam footage for blackmail. And they find this out when they essentially run down Ricky Holt, who's a football player, and he's being blackmailed for photos of him in bed with another man.
Yeah.
And he makes a very good point that, there are athletes who are out of the closet, but it tanks their careers. It was either a kicker or a punter for the Minnesota Vikings where this happened to him, and he's definitely speaking about it and letting people know his experience. And again, other things you should Google, because this show is super good at pulling from the headlines without being like, this is a direct thing that we're pulling from the...
Yeah.
They're not Law and Order.
Right. No. They just get a sliver of information, a couple of slivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they kind of make it their own.
It's a story that's very much based in truth, but still very much fiction.
Right, exactly.
And I think they walk a fairly good balance for that.
Yeah, I think so too. The show does a great job at that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it turns out that the blackmail was pictures of pictures. Someone was taking a picture of the computer monitor with their camera, which smart.
Yeah.
And they were having a tough time tracking it because there's only 2 login accounts, one for admin and one for cops, and everyone knows the passwords.
And wait, as a techie person, I know you were like, no!
Oh my God, technology is my day job, and we can reset people's passwords, but we're not allowed to know them because obviously security, and you don't share passwords, and you're a police precinct, you should have. I just kind of went, oh, they're in the 90s.
Yeah, that's so you're right, that's so 90s.
Who needs a password? Nobody hacks anything. No. Nobody uses computers for bad stuff.
That was before we knew it all, right, people?
Yeah, the IT professional in me just kind of cried when I heard that.
Yeah.
I'm like, Patterson, baby, I feel you. This is awful.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And they managed to track it down. I need to look at my notes for this because I'm blanking on essentially the procedure that they had.
I didn't write it down.
But they found out they had multiple victims of extortion because they were all depositing money into an account filed under a dead guy's name that went to offshore accounts that was laundered through a whole bunch of other things, like an 18-step process that essentially made it untraceable. But the dead person whose social security number they were using to open the account lived in a particular building with noise complaints, and most of those complaints were answered by a pair of beat cops, Costello and Johnson.
Yeah.
Found out that those two had burner phones, all of that fun stuff. And so they go to track them down, and it turns out that they are at Schultz's widow's house. Doing the whole, we feel so bad for you. He was our friend too. Let us know what you know. Do you know anything?
Right.
Did you tell the FBI anything?
Yeah.
What do you know?
Give me that phone.
And then Johnson said, I heard your husband was having trouble sleeping, and what are these sleeping pills? Maybe you should take a few. Just like,
I thought he was going to shove him down her throat. I was going to say, what are you going to do with
something?
Those? Right.
I mean, you can make that look like a suicide, but you cannot make a bullet wound.
Right.
No.
Yeah, and then they get in the shootout with Jane and Weller in the house.
Who arrived just in the nick of time. Because we figured it out just in the nick of time. Because dramatic timing. Other things that the show is really super good at.
Right.
Do we have anything fun in the live chat? I know there's an ongoing conversation, but I missed the beginning of it.
Yeah, I don't remember. What are they? Oh, here we go. Something, I don't know. What do you think?
Here, take this. You need a nap. Yep.
Yep, pretty much. Cyber had a body scan. Okay, yeah.
We don't know that Guerrero knew about Daylight. He was just Mayfair's front. Yeah, they made it pretty clear in the previous episode that Guerrero didn't know Mayfair at all. She was using him without his knowledge because she knew he was essentially untouchable and didn't know where he'd gone.
Right. And clearly he was hiding in Dracklin. And somebody on Twitter had mentioned that Dracklin wasn't an actual place, but it's, what did they say?
Yeah, it was a fictional county. Let's see if I can pull this up on Twitter, because y'all do your research and I absolutely love it. You guys are wonderful. Water Lily San, not to be Miss Persnickety Michigander, but Dracklin is fictional, I think. Alpena County was referenced earlier, though, and that's real. We like Persnickety Michiganders. they help us keep our facts straight, and we really super appreciate it.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for that.
We basically have a shootout with Costello and Johnson, and it ends with Johnson throwing a flashbang. Oh my God, is that common cop?
I think it is in certain. Well, he was a bad cop, so yes. In that situation, yes, I think so.
True, and I guess it's also New York. I'm not sure how they do things there. Well. We're in LA, big cities.
Well, please.
Yeah.
Let's not even go there.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that I thought this was a good reaction to a flashbang, is essentially getting Jane and the widow out the door and then closing the door before it went off.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if a door is enough to stop that. I know it's light and sound.
Yeah.
But I don't know if your usual household door is enough to muffle that.
Probably not.
TV science.
TV, yeah, that's Hollywood for you.
Yeah.
A little Hollywood there thrown in.
So we have Weller, who has been flashbanged to hell and back, taking out Johnson, and we have Jane shooting Costello in the leg. So Johnson's dead, and Costello's going to a hospital, and the widow is okay, and I feel really sorry for her because she was introduced just to be traumatized even more.
Right.
Like, have a cookie and a blanket and some tea, and oh my God, your life sucks. I'm so sorry.
Right. You just lost your husband and now you're going through this mess. Yeah.
Like, and none of this is your fault. Oh, I'm sure there's a support group somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Poor lady.
I did love the bit with Weller acting like his hearing was still out.
I love that. Because you know why? To me, it showed that he had some personality finally.
Yes!
I'm like, he has a personality in that handsome mug of his. He like smiled, like gave a full smile. Normally he gives like a half a smile, or he gave like a full, like teeth. I'm like, oh, he's smiling. That's
and
nice.
we had an actual sense of humor going on.
Yes.
Like, I appreciate this.
We like it.
We see you growl and snarl and get angry so often that this is a welcome relief.
Oh yeah, it was just refreshing. I would put it like that. It's just very refreshing. Yeah. You okay?
I am good.
Okay.
We have all that happening at about 40 minutes into the episodes. It's like, okay, we're not done yet.
Yeah,
there's gotta be more. Talking about this over commercial break going, you know what? I bet the captain's in on it.
Yep.
I bet lo and behold.
Of course he was. He was the ringleader.
We are occasionally super good at calling the twist on this one.
Yeah.
And so he wants to go visit Costello in the hospital. Mayfair says, I'll drive you. And then they start talking, and he mentions that Ricky was gay. And Mayfair goes, yeah, I never told you that.
Yeah.
One of those things. So it turns out he was also using it. He was also accessing the footage to blackmail people. We only did it to people who could afford it. It was about to go national, but yeah, it was just for, it got way out of hand. Do you know what they do to cops in prison? It's like, and we're seeing some interesting parallelism here between him and Patterson, because it was, I made this decision and it has become this ridiculous snowballing thing that I can no longer control. I made a decision to do the wrong thing for what I thought were the right reasons.
Okay. Yeah.
And so it's interesting to see the parallels for that character, especially since Rossi has been caught and Mayfair is still relatively under the radar in regards to Daylight.
Right. For now.
So instead of driving him where he wants to go, she straight up crashes the car.
Nah, I don't
crashes
blame her.
the passenger side into another car.
And that was happening. I thought that's what I would do.
That is super smart.
Taylor would do that.
That is, you're gambling on at least you surviving, but that is incredibly smart.
Right. He probably wasn't wearing the seatbelt either, and she probably saw that. So.
Possibly. I don't know.
We didn't see that part, but I'm just guessing.
So we have... Because Weller's been acting up all episode because he knows and he doesn't trust her and he's angry and he has trust issues, Weller, and And he's talking with Jane about it, and Jane says she's more than just one mistake. You need to actually talk with her. So he visits her in the hospital, and they have that conversation about, what are you going to do if this goes public? Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
But at least he's talking with people.
That's true.
And then he goes home and talks to Dad.
I know. I like that scene.
Yeah, and I don't think we get much of that conversation because it just kind of goes into music.
Yeah. And I don't know if they even, I don't know. I thought it was a nice scene. At the very least, he sat down at the same table, had a drink with Dad, and he didn't like punch him in the face or anything.
Yeah, or he didn't get up and storm out. Or
right.
was like, why are you in my house? Just, yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like they may sort of be working to mend that slowly.
And again,
baby steps.
It's good parallelism. I love that word, parallelism. We're getting a lot of it this episode with what he's going through with Mayfair.
Yeah.
With what he sees, well, for his dad, he sees it as a betrayal of trust. For Mayfair, it really super is.
Yeah.
And learning to forgive people and seeing past that. And that is development that he needs because we have seen that this man can hold a grudge.
Yeah, and I would almost guess, well, most of us probably know that watch the show, that Dad is probably a big part of why he doesn't trust people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously Dad was never convicted, but it's still just like, oops, that's pretty rough.
Right, yeah.
And then we have the scene, I love the bits that we have, the character building bits. We had the sparring session earlier, and then we had, hey, the girls are going out drinking, do you want to come? Reed saying he has a date, and everyone just giving him crap about, you don't have to lie about it. You can just say you don't want to.
Right.
Like, this is the only development we get for Reed. Can we have some more, please?
Yeah. But I like that they had a girls' night out.
That was wonderful. Just them going out drinking, and we're gonna find your whatever your drink is. We're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And Patterson's still getting texts from David.
Aww.
Don't be the sad girl at the bar looking at her phone. Mm-hmm. And we were talking over commercial break, like, is all Jane owns white t-shirts?
Yeah, we're
like, that's all she ever wears. That's all she owns is white t-shirts. She needs a new wardrobe. Come back from commercial break. And we're getting you a new wardrobe tomorrow. And we're like, yes!
Like, thank the Lord that she's
Whooping
going
and hollering
shopping.
in the viewing room. Passersby
High-fiving.
looking at us like, what is wrong with you?
I
Like,
know.
no.
You don't get
this
it.
is good.
This is good.
We need more than the white t-shirts. Come on.
Because
Come on.
She's a hot lady. She should be looking hot.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, you know.
And I mean, she can pull off the white t-shirts, but please give her some collar.
Yes.
Or something, an interesting cut, something that isn't just a U-neck white t-shirt. Just please.
Yes.
Please.
Matter of fact, I can go with you guys. No.
Exactly.
I'll go with you guys, hang out. Then after we go shopping, have a drink too.
I would be moral support because I know nothing about fashion, but I'm totally down for the drinking.
There you go. There you go.
Do it. Let's have a party. Let's not have the party end in blackmail, shall we? Because
Shall
the
we?
night did not end well for Zapata.
Ooh.
Like, at all.
No. Poor Zapata. She is in deep. She's in so far over her head she can't even see straight.
Because Tom shows up. Tom the vampire.
Like he just appeared. Like, whoop. That's
Out
how a
of the rain.
vampire appears. It just whoop.
And they go after sexy young women, don't they?
Walking alone by themselves.
Exactly.
Perfect.
I like this. Tom the vampire.
Tom the vampire.
Hashtag Tom the vampire, you
Tom
guys.
the vampire.
Hashtag Tom
Stephanie
the
G
vampire.
figured that out.
So he wants more information because Jane's file had nothing because, surprise, surprise, we know nothing.
No.
Jon Snow, Tom Snow, whatever you want to do. And he tells her, no, you essentially belong to me at this point because if you don't, you already took my money, you sold out Jane, you sold out other people, and if I tell the FBI, not only will you be fired, you'll be indicted. So,
And you know what? I was thinking Zapata is a smart woman and she's very street smart, and I don't understand, well, of course it's the writers, but I don't understand why she didn't know that Tom was going to come back on her for that.
I think she was desperate enough and needed the money badly enough to pay off the debts that
Right.
she
She just didn't care.
I'm going to take care of this problem now and hopefully it won't have long-reaching consequences. I fulfilled my end of the bargain. We're done.
Right, yeah.
And unfortunately, that was not the case because Tom is Tom.
Oh, Tom.
Oh, Tom. Nobody likes you.
Yeah. It's like that. Any actor that ever plays that character in any episode of any show, nobody likes them.
Or I'll just immediately...
Right. I'm sorry. I'm giggling a lot. I know. But
That
it's
is
funny.
okay. It's hysterical.
It's
Tom the
hysterical.
vampire.
Tom the vampire.
And we
Yeah.
have the detail I noticed is that we know that she has an issue with gambling on sports games. She was the one that recognized Ricky Holt, knew his sporting history, knew he'd blown out his knee. It was like, okay,
They were looking at
that
her like-
makes all of the sense. Like, I
Perfect.
love that they brought that back in and just seamlessly. Like,
Yeah.
we need a character to know this. You.
Yeah, it's perfect.
And we've built it up before, so it works.
Yeah, it's right up her alley.
Yeah. So I'm going to take a minute to talk to you guys about iTunes. I know we're on a bit of a delay, so chat, if there is anything that we didn't cover that you want us to talk about, now would be the time. We will see that in just a minute. But iTunes, you guys, you hear this every week, you're going to hear it again. We love getting your comments. And when you do give us the comments, it helps keep the lights on in the studio. It helps our producers know that, hey, you know, these people like watching these people do this. People like watching these people talk about this show. So we should continue to let them do that. And hopefully we'll be talking about a whole lot more of it because Blindspot has been renewed for a second season.
Yay!
Yay! Congratulations, winning. Everything is fantastic. And we
Yeah.
are super happy, you guys.
I know.
Yep, there we go. There's the applause sound effects. Thank you to the person in the booth.
Thank
you are
you for
wonderful
that.
and we love you. But yeah, we've got the rest of the season. We've got a season 2. So, you know, let everyone know that you enjoy watching and listening to us. And we'll stick around and we will recap the show because we love it just as much as you guys do.
Oh, yeah.
So before we swing into predictions, do we have anything else from the chat?
Let's see. What do we say? Let me see. Let me put my glasses on.
They really want Zapata to beat up Tom.
Jessica says, I don't know why she just didn't kick him in the nuts because she could have took him.
Yeah,
that's true. You're right.
And then an earlier comment about how Jane needs Buffy on speed dial to take care of Tom the vampire.
That's true. Yeah.
Be
call
down
Buffy.
for that.
Yeah.
Sarah Michelle Gellar guest starring on the show. Yeah, sign me up. Winner.
Yeah, because he's just in the way.
So I think we've just about covered most of it. Do you have any final thoughts on the episode?
I don't. And I don't know if I necessarily have any real predictions this time, strangely.
Yeah, we can go ahead and roll into predictions, short as they'll be.
Yeah.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
I love the light show. I really do. If you're listening on iTunes, you gotta tune in just for that moment on YouTube to see the crazy little light show we have going on in studio. I adore it. We had this very fun little teaser for next week. Evidently, next week is our last episode before the mid-season finale. So we are finishing this up before Thanksgiving, and then, we go all of December and possibly part of January without episodes. So
I know, we're going to miss you guys.
Of course, they're going to leave us on a terrible cliffhanger because that's what they do.
Oh.
And they straight up said in the preview that someone will die. Like... Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I just got to know these people.
I know.
But they are moving fairly quickly with all of the plot except for the big overarching question. We have everything except for who is Xanatos? Who is the organization behind Jane? What the heck is all of that?
Right.
But we got our answers about Daylight.
Yeah, finally.
Which has been the arc that we've been working with for now. And I'm wondering if we won't be working with a different arc over the second half of the season, or if this will continue to extend itself.
Okay.
Either way, we have Tom the Vampire telling Zapata to put a listening device in the safe house. Fairly certain that is not super legal.
No, of course not. Does Tom look like he does anything legal? No. There you go.
No.
He is CIA after all. I mean, for crying out loud.
And that's the point where you're just like, nope, I'm finished. Goodbye.
Yes.
This was fun. I'm leaving.
See ya.
So, yeah, it looks like we have no idea what we are going to do for this next episode. It looks like it's going to be very action-packed.
Yeah.
Don't know what the procedural will be.
Oh, somebody
And-
says, who is Orion? Sorry.
I completely forgot about that. That is a very good point. Who is Orion?
And Jessica, kill off David. LOL. No, we can't kill David. Jessica.
Don't kill David. What's wrong with you?
David.
I do like Philip Baker saying, kill Tom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
but you cut off the head of a snake, another head grows. Some they'll just put some
Yeah,
other
but you
jerk
cut
in
off
his-
the head of a vampire and that'll do it.
That's true. That's true. A vampire.
Vampire, stake,
Yeah.
burn the ashes and scatter them over 2 different rivers.
There you
I
go.
read a lot of fantasy.
Okay.
Anyway, any final predictions?
No, I think I'm okay right now.
And we should probably wrap it up.
Yeah.
We are getting the signal to get going. So where can the people find you?
I am at Stephanie G3360 on Instagram and YouTube, and you can check me out on Sunday's after show of Homeland.
Awesome.
I'll be there.
And I'm Katie Cullen. You can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram at Kiaxet. That's Kiaxet. I am also on Snapchat at Kia Prime. I basically live at the studios, guys. I do so many shows. Arrow is on a different day this week. We're doing it on Thursday night. We are also doing Steven Universe on Thursday and Star Wars Rebels on Wednesday, so you can catch me there. Guys, to everyone in the chat, to everyone on Twitter, thank you so much for
Thank you,
watching and
guys.
following along. If you want to talk with us while the show is not on, you can definitely use the hashtag ABTV Blindspot. We do check that even when we're not on air. Thanks for watching along with us, and we will see you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AFTERBUZZ TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AFTERBUZZ TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.